Hey, this is Chuck, and you are listening to Fans with Bands, the podcast where we talk to the fans and the bands they dig about life, music, and whatever the hell else we want to talk about. Today on Fans with Bands, we're talking to Wilson Thicket. Check it out.
All right. Hey, this is Chuck with Fans with Bands, and I'm talking to Aaron, Jason, and Keith from Wilson Thicket. How you guys doing?
Oh, yeah, we're great.
Excellent.
Appreciate the invitation, man.
Yeah, for sure. And we've got Garrett and Paul as a couple of fans. How you guys doing?
All right, great.
Great, Chuck. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, hell yeah. So I know that I've seen Jason, I've seen Keith. I think years ago, my first introduction to you guys musically was Mark Lavagood's Bluegrass Bonanza at the Chelsea Ale House, and you guys were jamming with him. And so I've been kind of following you guys for a little bit, and then Jason, you were in Thunderwood, which I think is still a band going on. And then I saw this thing called Wilson Thicket, and you guys had this song that you recorded in this little tiny room, little video for 3 Stones, and I was like, I was blown away. I was like, even just talking about that song, the hairs on my arms go up. Something about that song touches me so deeply. It's sort of like a couple other favorite songs, like Salisbury Hill by
Peter Gabriel.
And Can't Find My Way Home by Blind Faith. Those tunes, this tune's the same way. It has that same impact. So thank you guys so much for being on here, because I am a huge fan. So thanks.
Awesome.
The first thing I'm wondering is if you saw us at the Chelsea Ale House, there was a relatively well-known Between Us gig there with Lavengood where there was a wardrobe malfunction on Mark's part. So part of me is curious as to whether you remember anything about that, or maybe it wasn't the same night.
I'm trying to remember. So like, I don't remember the wardrobe malfunction, because that was the very first time I met Mark, and I found out why he was Huggy Bear. Because I didn't know the guy. I just came out and said, wow, man, you really, kicked ass and everything. Whoosh, grabs a hold of me, hugs me. It's like, Jesus Christ, who is it?
Well, I'm guessing you probably remember wardrobe malfunction if you had seen it.
Oh my God.
Well, the what impacted that malfunction even more was that there were at least, I believe, 2 or 3 women in their late 60s to mid 70s, perhaps, that happened to be kind of front and center of the stage. They probably didn't hear much, which is why they were so close. I'm sure that they did get an eyeful.
Oh man, that's awesome. So no, I did not see that, because I would, yeah, like you said, Aaron, I probably would have remembered something like that. When was that? Like,
it would have been
summer.
I mean, that's hard to. There were winter gaps and one summer gap, where, like. Yeah, I just remember it. That's such a lot. It was like 10. That's probably pushing 8 or 9 years. 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah, like I was looking back because I wrote a little thing in Life in Michigan for it, and it was 2015, like fall, I think, of 2015. So.
Wow.
Yeah,
crazy. So anyway, super happy to have you guys on. Keith, you were nice enough to get me the new EP which is coming out. So you've got a 6-song EP that'll be out shortly. Do we have a time frame for when that's supposed to be out?
Basically, as soon as we can get it done. We are musicians in every way, including being a little dragging our feet on some of the finer details of putting this last bit together, but we're making progress. We finally got those masters back, so now it's just a matter of ordering it and putting some artwork together, and it's all self-released, so it's kind of just whenever it's done we can put it out there.
Nice.
So hopefully within like a month, something like that.
Awesome. And I think most of the tunes that are on there are ones that you guys have been playing live for a while. That's true, right?
Yeah, everything except I think one of Aaron's tunes called Luck Beat the Gambler. I think that was pretty new for when we did the recording, but since then it has become a regular song in our set. So at this point, yeah, they're all in the rotation.
Yes. So I was curious, from those 6 songs, which one is for each of you is like the one you have the most fun playing live? Start with maybe Jason.
I was gonna say, I mean, for me, ultimately, "Honey Hangover" is it's just a fun song to sing. Full throat, just going for it, and top of the range, kind of, and singing with Aaron, who's um, I mean, I don't know where all that sound comes from in that skinny body.
Yeah.
But to sing that song full bore, that's always a highlight for me anytime we get to play it.
Awesome.
That one is certainly, that's certainly my favorite, like one of my favorites of ours, or probably my favorite of ours to sing, because we don't have real, like, it's probably the only duet song we have.
Right.
Get to cut loose on that. And I absolutely love what, a few of the songs that I wrote that and was able to bring to the band, just absolutely love what these guys have done with a song called This December. Never would have imagined it becoming the arrangement that it is, before bringing it to Wilson Thicket, and having that, realizing the potential of that tune with this band. And it's really super fun for me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think my choice is the same, the December song. And I love playing all of them, but there's just something about the arrangement to that has a little more to it, more changes, more starting and stopping, a little more dramatic arc to it. It's just kind of more of a dramatic sounding song. So I don't know. It's just a little more to chew on, a little more to put some extra feeling into it at times. And it keeps you on your toes too. It's like a challenging piece to play.
Nice.
So yeah, for all those reasons, but I like them all.
So, Aaron, when you were talking about bringing that song to the band, that was a question that I had is, from those 6 songs, they sound like they're a cohesive part of Wilson's Thicket, but I imagine that each of you had like a tune that you were bringing in, or one of you was a major songwriter, and then the rest of the band kind of came in. Is that how that those songs evolved, or were they just like you guys got together, jammed, and said, "Oh, we're doing Three Stones"?
So Three Stones in the River, This December, and Luck Beat the Gambler. Those are songs that I had written and brought in, and then Jason. There's three of mine, and then 3 of Jason's tunes on there: Bartimaeus, and Honey Hangover, and In My Arms. In My Arms. That's it. Yeah. And so yeah, Jason and I have written the songs, and then whatever the arrangements became when we brought them to the band, Keith and Scott were big in like arranging parts for these things and stuff. But as far as writers go, Jason and I, these are songs that we'd probably written before this band really started. Maybe This December was kind of written shortly after, but the other 2 were, at least for me, were like older songs that I just played solo for a bit.
Yeah.
And just was able to, it's cool because starting, as a bluegrass band, or I'll say bluegrass adjacent, because that's really what we are. We're not really a bluegrass band, but we of course kind of compiled a list of some bluegrass standards to start picking on. And but it was nice to be able to bring in like, well, hey, this song's something like Three Stones in the River. It's not really a bluegrass song, but in the context with the instrumentation really seemed to work out nicely. And so it was nice to have some originals existing, and hopefully going forward we're going to continue to write, and maybe write some together, and just haven't really had the opportunity quite yet to do any of that.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I find things interesting in that the three songs that we recorded of mine, there's some co-writes in there with friends of mine, but those songs have been around for, a good 5 to 10 years in some cases,
Oh,
and written so pointed for this kind of dynamic and this kind of band. But, when you plug in certain players to already written parts, those things have to change a little bit. They evolve, and dynamics between certain players evolve. And it's odd to me that these three songs, while they've been recorded in live situations here and there, this will be the first time of them being released in a more definitive kind of format. And it seems like it had to be that way because the kind of connection in the grouping of the voices that we all have individually, we've managed to find a couple things that make sense to us, and we're coming together, and they're getting more and more defined every time we do it. And then the opposite of that with Aaron's tunes, to be able to have that focus of just getting in and like note for note, almost trying to be sensitive and aware of what's happening, whereas mine are kind of, at least these three are a little more general, what you might consider, bluegrass. But there's a big juxtaposition between those two things.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to kind of have all those different colors, those different avenues, I think.
Yeah, very cool. So that kind of gets to something I was curious about, the origin. So how did you guys get together? How did Wilson Thicket become a band?
I guess I will claim most of the credit for making that happen. So Aaron and Jason and I have been friends for years. We used to hang out all the time, have bonfires, play music, just do the stuff you do with your friends. And we had they were definitely involved in other musical groups. I was kind of between musical groups at the time, and then the pandemic hit, and a lot of things sort of like fell by the wayside. And it seemed like we all maybe had an opportunity that if we wanted to, we were already friends. We knew the hang was going to be good. That if we maybe wanted to get us as a group going, that would be the opportunity to do it. So like I said, I was kind of the one without a band, so they already had gigs, so it was really my best interest to like really make something happen for myself, because I knew it would be good. I know these guys. I was fans of theirs, before I was their bandmate. And then Scott was a little bit outside of like that specific friend group, but he had played on a pickup gig with me several years ago. That was kind of just one of these, you show up and nobody knows what you're going to play until you get there, and you kind of wing it. And it always stuck in my head that not only was he be able to like keep up with people winging it, but he was contributing and being creative and could play in like all sorts of different feels, and just seemed like a good well-rounded kind of musical voice. And I had always remembered that I had that opinion of him. So none of us really knew Scott that well, but I always remembered that and called him up, and he was sort of the first person that we wanted to give a chance to, and he fell right into it, and we all have a great time. So it's just been that way.
Cool.
From the beginning.
Awesome. Yeah, Scott is he has the other band that I know him from is Child Sleep.
Yeah. Which is completely different.
Yeah, it's completely different and awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's still in several different projects, and he does a great job on all of them, and we're the only one that I think he even plays upright on. He's typically an electric bassist, and he does a great job at that too.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we're happy to have him, and he's maybe not a dyed in the wool bluegrass bass player, but he can play bluegrass very well, and also brings in tons of other influences, which is kind of what we're going for, I guess.
Cool. Awesome. And so who's the mastermind? Was it you, Keith, for the name Wilson Thicket?
Kind of, yeah. Aaron, do you maybe want to that one going?
So I had come up with, I was like racking my brain. I think we were all racking our brains for a name. And I feel like we were kind of strong armed into coming up with a name because we had booked a gig. And
True.
they're like, well, we got to have something that we call ourselves. So I after like thinking about it, I came up with this like Through the Thicket for some reason. I was like, oh, that kind of sounds like we could be playing bluegrass. We went with that for a couple of shows, and then Keith thought that it sounded too much like when people were saying it that they'd have a lisp or something.
That's what I distinctly remember is
it's
too lispy.
Yeah.
So, which after saying it a few times fast, yes, I agree.
Through the thicket.
Through the thicket. So
Daffy
okay,
Duck
well,
saying it or something.
What else we got? What else do we call it? So, and I don't remember. I don't know how you came up with that. Like, I think there might have been some other ideas, but I don't remember any of them. I just remember you saying Wilson Thicket, going
we liked the concept of a thicket because it's grassy, and we play grassy music, but it's also kind of messy and tangled with other things. So we kind of like that as a metaphor for what we do. And I don't know, I'm a dad, so I'm prone to dad jokes and wordplay and corny stuff. So somewhere along the line, Wilson Thicket came up, and everyone laughed, and we were doing one of those things like, wait, but do you really like it? Yeah, I mean, I do if you do. Well, I guess you do. But wait, we're really going to? Okay, I guess. And then I think we had a vote. I think we did some other choices, but we had a vote, and Wilson Thicket won.
Awesome.
Was it unanimous? I think it was unanimous.
It probably was, yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, have you guys covered Wilson Pickett?
Not yet. We're trying to figure out what the right song is.
Oh man, because that would be awesome.
We may have to have a very strong medley, perhaps.
Right. There you go. There you go. Well, Fans with Bands isn't just about me asking questions. It's also an opportunity for fans. So, Paul or Garrett, do you guys have any questions for Wilson Thicket? And if you don't, no worries, I can keep running.
Go ahead, Garrett.
Oh boy. I was gonna ask more kind of theory questions, but I don't know if that's appropriate or not. Just kind of in general, like what's your favorite chord or what's your favorite key or what, that kind of thing. To throw those in or out there.
Yeah.
I know I have one.
Cool.
I mean, I have a favorite chord. It's more a voicing, the way to play chord, and I've used it in various ways. I'm giving a lot away here. I've used it in various ways, and probably 3 to 4 of my own tunes.
Wow.
I hide it well, but it's an E minor 7 add 9.
Add 9, okay, yeah.
I know it probably doesn't mean anything to anyone, but an E minor 7 add 9 has 5 notes in it, and the way that you play it, it can open up just a bunch of doors immediately. When you hear it, it can just take you away to someplace.
Yeah, cool, awesome.
That's my favorite chord, anyway.
Love that.
I think Ashley has a hand up.
I don't know if I have a favorite chord. I'm a big fan of like D major 7. Especially like on a guitar, getting like the low F sharp and letting the open A and D ring out. It's just really pretty. And there are certain songs that when you hit that, it's just like really satisfying. So
yeah,
I don't know if I really have a favorite chord, but that's the one that comes to mind.
I love the wraparound thumb F sharp also. It makes me think of the AC/DC Highway to Hell clamp.
There you go.
Yeah, totally.
Aaron?
I like the I don't know about specific chord or voicings, but anytime I can get an interval of a minor second somewhere, which I think Jason, the E minor 7 add 9,
Yeah.
You make that, have that like minor second interval kind of rub.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If you ever listen to a guitarist named like David Rawlings,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
listen to Rawlings, like there's so much of that like almost dissonance within a
Okay.
chord.
Minor second, the end of Bartimaeus.
Yeah.
I mean that there's a reason why those chords just have a
Cool.
lasting impression, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Nice.
It's unsettling.
Yeah.
We want you to be unsettled.
Yeah.
Garrett, do you have a favorite chord?
You know, it's a little simpler, but it's always been B minor for some reason. I love like the simple, cowboy chord songs, Bob Seger, whatever, Beatles, and then when it hits that B minor out of nowhere and it just turns melancholy, that just jerks my bone marrow, man. It just, it makes me cry. It makes me emotional. It just really does something to me.
That's
Awesome.
a great saying, by the way.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. Jerks my bone marrow.
I've never said it.
It's gonna go in the repertoire.
You know, you're talking to a couple of songwriters.
Yeah. EP number 2, you're gonna hear that.
Oh, that's getting written down right now.
Yeah. You know how sometimes these things, man, they hit like a funny bone, and it's just you can't deny it, right? It changes you. It changes your behavior. You react to it.
Absolutely.
So hearing the answers to the favorite chord or voicing or key or whatever it does, I love hearing that. That's awesome.
I think because of that very thing, it's why, I mean, this December has elements of that, but Three Stones in the River.
Okay.
Part of, I think, what's so alluring about that tune is also musically how it kind of wraps its way around the lyrics. And there's some of those types of chord and voicing things happening at certain moments, and it's so stripped down that you kind of have no choice but to feel it.
Yeah.
Versus, just banging away chords the whole time, kind of thing.
I can't wait to go back and listen to some of the stuff, because the Three Stones was my first impression of you guys just a couple days ago, and I've only listened to a couple since then. So I assume all the ones you're talking about, they're samples on your channel or site or whatever you have, or is it something
there are a few on the website. I think there's links to 4 YouTube.
Oh, okay, cool
videos.
Yeah, can't wait to go back and hear that stuff now after the insights you guys are bringing today. Thank you.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Oh yeah, I can already tell you I'm going to love it.
Hope so.
Paul, do you have any questions? And a pile of what has her hand raised?
Yeah, Ashley, why don't you ask your question? You were more polite and put your hand up.
Okay, my only normal question of the night: do you have any favorite venue you dig playing at as a band that you haven't already? Goal for festivals, venues, stages, etc. And of course, why? What makes them special, dream-worthy?
Are these supposed to be like realistic or shoot for the moon kind of stuff?
Well, I think it would be a favorite venue you haven't played, but I think it could, So she says, sure, either. So it could be realistic or dreamy.
So I suppose the two that come to mind would be like the Ryman Auditorium, or maybe like the Telluride Bluegrass Festival, something like that. Jason's actually played there as part of a band contest. But, just the obvious connection to the type of music that we play and what it means to the history for both of those, not to mention that they're beautiful spaces just on their own anyway. Those are the ones that come to mind. You guys go ahead.
I mean, I think it's like there's pockets of getting to that kind of place. So my favorite kinds of things are like the stepping in a way to that, something like Bells, getting into a place that has a, not too big, but a place where we're responsible for really bringing the energy and then working on that energy and kind of then taking it to the next level. I think back at that beer garden and I envision a certain kind of excitement to it. That I'd love to get to that point. In Grand Rapids, founders, thinking lowly, thinking home front.
Yeah.
A little bit, Jason. Oh, are you still there? Am I still there?
You're still there.
Yeah, we got you.
Jason started from a bit
Jason
of a
was freezing up, but I think we heard what he said.
Yeah, it sounds like the Bell's eccentric.
Yeah, my
Oh, still clip it out. Yeah, internet, come on. But yeah, Bell's eccentric beer garden, that is actually a spot I think that gets overlooked sometimes. That and inside the cafe, that stage they got there. I've seen some great shots. I saw Marcus King there. I saw Chris Robinson play outside. Oh man, yeah.
They sunk a lot of money into making that whole back half of the building a venue. I don't know if you remember how it was before that, when they had all the bands on the other side. It was just,
Yeah.
it was band in a corner basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's a super legit room. Yeah. No doubt.
It's awesome. Aaron, how about you? What's your dream or practical?
So we actually have a venue I have always enjoyed playing individually and with other projects that Wilson Thicket has yet to play, that we are going to play on November 10th, is a place called 20 Front Street. I'm sure that you guys have probably heard of that. That's always been a favorite space of mine. It just sounds good in there. It's inspiring. It looks beautiful. It's a good... I have a hard time wrapping my head around playing for thousands of people. So if there's 90 attentive people in front of me that are really enjoying it, then I'm happy for the moment. On the other side of that coin, there's other spots too. Like I think some of the, I'd love to get to some of the festivals. Even in the state of Michigan, that are great music festivals that we haven't had the chance to get to yet. But on the other side of the pipe dream kind of venue, I just want to get to maybe one day grace the stage of the Ryman Auditorium or something. It would be sweet. Or Red Rocks Amphitheater or something ridiculous. Yeah. Super fun. So we'll just keep stepping toward that goal and, baby steps, see where we get to.
There you go. Yeah, I would love just to go to a show. I've not seen a show. I did a tour. We went to Nashville, did a tour of the Ryman, which was awesome. Got to get your picture taken on stage, which was fun.
Yeah, cool.
I'd love to see a show there. And Red Rocks. Love to go out there and check out a show too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Paul, did you have a question?
Well, I was hoping it looks like Jason had jump off, but mine's more technical, of course. I wanted to hear a little bit about when you're writing and you're bringing these things together as a band, because there's a couple different songwriters, and let's try this. Because of the vocal prowess of this group, like how is writing the counterpoint and the harmonization? Like, is it something that comes naturally, or you're writing it down, or what's kind of the pathway to that?
Well, I think typically the lead vocal part is there, at least close to what it's going to be. And with in particular these songs, there's really not a whole lot of, like, say, duet parts or anything where we're harmonizing for much of a period of time. It's a lot of background vocals where it's like Keith and Jason on a part, like doing a pad behind. Sometimes I feel, and Keith, you can chime in on this too, because I know you had quite a bit of a part of coming up with some of these backups on, like, December or on Luck Beat the Gambler. They're almost like these kind of parts that come in that are a counterpoint, and they're not along with the melody. They're not like, say, like, oh, I'm gonna sing a third above what Aaron's doing, or I'm gonna sing a third, below what Jason's doing and just lock into that melody and sing along with it. They've become parts on their own of the arrangement. Almost as like another instrument. Instead of, it's not always even words, it could be ooze. Yeah, Keith, why don't you say something about that? Like, I don't know, like the December bridge, and like you and Jason were working that stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, to me, and this actually goes whether you're talking about vocals or instrumental, I kind of look at it backwards. I try to hear the song, I try to hear in my head what like the finished product of it could be, like what's the potential of this in its best form, and then kind of just reverse engineer that. Like what am I hearing in my head as this like highest version of this song, and how do we get there? And so, like, if we're using December as an example, that bridge part is a very, like, I don't know what you'd call it, like a little spookier, more majestic kind of sound. And so rather than having someone doing like bluegrass harmonies along with your singing, it seemed more appropriate to have like some ooze that didn't really change with Aaron's vocals. They were just laid down this heavenly pad, was sort of how I was, almost like my background is what the bridge of December sounds like.
Perfect analogy.
It's like the auditory version of Aurora Borealis. I think you've done a wonderful job at it.
I actually really like that. I think that's almost exactly what I hear, what I see and hear on that. So for me, it's reverse engineering. Is like, think of what if you were hearing the perfect band perform this song, what would they be doing? And can we try to do that? Jason, you missed the question, but he was asking about how we approach taking like a vocal part and how do we approach arranging it to fit the song. And was there more to it than that, Paul? I forget.
Exactly. That's about it, right? Because again, they're tremendously talented. So it's what, like, hearing what you guys do is impressive, and I just want to see if there was any method to it.
Well, I'm sure that Jason has stuff to add to this vocal business. Being the vocal EB.
I was gonna say, it's like, well, I mean, if I'm allowed to mention Annie and Rod Capps, actually the singing I've done with Annie over the past 18 years has opened up this thought process of sing everything everywhere just to see what it sounds like. And then there's a call and response thing. You either do it together, all kinds of different notes, or do it opposite one another. And then the dynamics and all of the other stuff tends to follow once some rough parts start coming to mind. But once you've got that, it seems like always looking for spots where there could be more harmony. But it can take a while to, learn how to sing with some people. You kind of have to find where to carve out your places, because just like people talk differently or play differently, the way they emphasize and squeeze words or stretch words out, it can sometimes take a while of doing that and feeling kind of stupid. So, sometimes, you have to really separate, what you're trying to do with just anything that it takes to get there, and listening to it objectively, like constantly. I don't know that because then once you find stuff that works, it's so much more exciting than you could ever imagine. And even if it sounds simple, what no one realizes is how much work went into trying to make that sound simple. That's a tricky thing.
Was that how easy or hard was that for you guys as a band to feel comfortable, to be able to feel that you could do that type of exploration, but also making sure that your voices felt comfortable together?
I think it's still a work in progress, honestly. We're trying to find equal footing. sometimes in order to save time, just because we're all busy. That just
Yeah.
seems to be that's what life does, right? But it's by letting some things happen, it's forcing some doors to get opened, and it's exciting to think. I'm excited at what a couple of months might be and more time together. I'm really excited at what that's going to start to develop.
Aaron, Keith, any thoughts?
I agree with Jason that it's certainly always going to be a work in progress. But right now, as opposed to 6 months or a year ago, it's so much more than it was. It's the progression. It's hard to see on a gig to gig basis. Like, oh, I think it's just getting better and better. It's just like, after some time goes by, you realize, yeah, it takes some time to learn how to sing with people. And when you're used to, like Jason mentioned, singing with, Annie and Rod, and like still singing with them,
Yeah.
and like you sing with somebody so long, and then like, oh, you start singing with somebody else too, and it's completely different. I've been in other projects where I sang a lot of vocal harmonies, and trying to find that sweet spot of what works with the voices that you are working with in the moment it takes a bit of time and effort. It just does. It doesn't matter like what level of singer you are. You just have to learn those nuances.
Yeah.
And I think we're doing that. And it's become more and more fun to sing together as it begins to mesh better.
Awesome. Do you think it's hard? And that makes me think, because it's insightful, because I don't sing really. I never sang in a band. I've played in a band, but never really sang. And so I didn't really have that insight into, those dynamics, especially when you've got harmonies or backing vocals, trading off, lead vocals with others. Is the vocal challenge more or less than the dynamics from a playing standpoint? So you're also interplaying together. Bluegrass has that kind of like improvising and then also playing together and playing off each other. Is that as difficult as the vocal melding, or in par, or easier?
I tend to think of it all the same, really. People can get very specific about their ideas of what dynamics are, and we all love certain bands that will stay in the key of B and they just drive for 7 songs. But then there's the Alison Krauses and the Three Stones. There's the real dynamic, whispery kind of moments. I think they're both incredibly equal, because it makes you listen to not listening to yourself first. You have to listen to the person that you're playing with or singing with. You have to clearly hear what they're doing to even be able to do your part. And that's just hard either way, singing or playing. I know some folks probably have more of an advantage at like Keith. There's not much Keith can't play musically. I mean, however he's approached the banjo and all of his other instruments, he's going to figure out 3 different ways to do it, and probably a lot quicker than he might be able to sing it. And again, it's just certain strengths and things that are untapped at this point, but it's all, the dynamics are tricky. I mean, you got to really listen to everyone else first.
Yeah, I would imagine. Crazy. Let's see. Garrett had a question in chat that says, do you guys consider playing private parties? And he's looking at, well, I don't know if you want to get into pricing, duration, and set list scenarios. So I'm going to guess that the answer is yes, but I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can speak for all of us that we consider just about anything, as long as it makes sense from either a financial or some other reason for us to do it. I don't think we have any hard boundaries of types of gigs that we're not going to do. As far as pricing, I mean, yeah, probably not appropriate to discuss here, but you know, we're
No, I
adult,
don't
we're
discuss
adults.
it
We
here.
consider ourselves professional, so it'll be priced accordingly. That. But no, beyond that, yeah, it doesn't hurt to hit us up.
Cool. Awesome.
But no metal gigs. Not gonna jump on a
Totally.
metal festival or something. Just saying, it's an untapped market.
Yeah. Well,
If they want to hire us, we might give it a go.
There you go.
I totally think that kind of interplay, Paul knows that I'm a huge metalhead. I think that interplay would be perfect in some scenarios because it's like you
I
get,
agree.
because I actually, bluegrass to me, especially when you guys were ripping, some really like mountain music where it's fast, that's heavy metal. That's country heavy metal to me. It's like fast, tactical. I mean, you could be listening to, I mean, it's not Slayer, it's not thrash, but there's,
I think
what
I
Native
think of-
Howell does thrash grass, right? So there you go. So
Thrash grass.
there are moments when I hear banjo and mandolin together, or guitar and mandolin, whatever it is, two instruments together, and I immediately think of Iron Maiden.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't help it. Like my first concert was Somewhere in Time tour.
Oh, awesome.
Maiden in the 80s, right? I will always think of that two guitar thing, and I always have a thing about that with bluegrass. That's kind of where my ear goes. I'm familiar with both very much, but I love the energy of Maiden inserted into the instrumentation of bluegrass.
Yeah.
What a beautiful sentence.
Yes.
Run to the hills.
Yes. Awesome. So Jason, that's a great question. You said your first concert. What was the very first album you ever bought?
I remember distinctly the first record I bought was because I got really pissed off that my cousin got it first. And I had to go out and buy one myself. And it was literally just from seeing the cover. It was Kiss Alive 2.
Oh, awesome. Kiss Alive 2.
I was mesmerized by that back cover. I had to have it. So that was the first record I bought.
Awesome. Keith, how about you?
My first record was the La Bamba soundtrack.
Nice.
Mostly by Los Lobos, and it's because that movie is basically why I play music. I saw the commercials for it on TV, and I saw Lou Diamond Phillips like in a rock star, and you know how it is, just something about like how your brain was on that day seeing that thing was just like, whoa, that looks like the coolest movie I've ever heard about. And I made my mom, I wasn't old enough to watch the movie, it was like PG-13 or something. So I made my mom sit and watch it and record me off of the TV like a cassette tape of all the music. But then finally I got like the real factory, cassette tape, the real one.
Awesome.
So yeah, I definitely remember that one.
Excellent. Aaron, how about you?
If I'm remembering correctly, like way back in the archives, I was in a grocery line with my grandpa, and they had like cassette tapes and CDs and stuff. It was probably mid 90s, I guess. I think it was Nirvana Unplugged in New York, in 94. Wow. Yeah. I had been like listening to a lot of that music. Just a friend of mine, who was more my age, had older brothers listening to grunge, and I really liked it. And I don't know if I understood the music quite yet, but I just was drawn to it for some reason. And yeah, I think that was my first, and I believe that was a cassette tape as well.
Cool. Awesome. Garrett, how about you? What was your first album?
Well, it would have been something from the late 70s, and I don't know if it would have been mine or my parents, but as far as music that I started listening to that they didn't, that would have, probably been maybe the second or third or fourth album. It would have probably been like, it was like a Joe Walsh, was it The Confessor?
Nice.
or maybe a Rat. Or well, my first concert was Billy Squier, so we'll just go there. Rat opened up for Billy Squier. So.
Wow. Oh, wow. Nice. Nice. Rat. Back in the day, they were awesome. Warren DeMartini is a hell of a guitar player. Man. Paul,
Yeah.
I can't remember what yours was. I know we've.
I think it's Green Day Dookie. That or Dude Ranch by Blink 182.
Yeah.
One of those two.
Oh man, that's awesome. Oh Lord. And so we already got Jason's first concert. Curious about Aaron and Keith's. Aaron, what was your first concert?
Still in here? I want to know what her first record was.
Oh,
Did
that's
she leave?
it. Yeah. Is she still there? Yeah. She hasn't typed in anything yet. Can you hear?
Oh,
me?
she.
Oh, here she goes. I'm pretty sure it was the original Kids Ball.
Amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah. That'll drive you to drinking right there.
Yep.
It worked. There you go.
It definitely has. All right. So first concert, Aaron, Keith, who wants to go first?
Oh, I've got a gem for this.
I bet I can beat it.
You sure? You ready?
Oh, I'm not sure. Let's hear it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, Neil Diamond at the Palace.
Oh.
That's awesome. That nice pun, by the way.
Uh-huh.
A gem, yeah.
Yeah, gem.
Yeah.
That was good.
See, I thought, okay, I can't beat that. I thought you meant a gem, like sarcastically, like it was something really embarrassing.
Oh man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No,
so-
Super cool.
yeah. Go ahead, Keith.
Mine was Richard Marx. I'm an 80s kid, so I was into pop. I watched MTV. That's like that's the music I've had. So my aunt one year for like my 10th birthday or however old I was, took me to see Richard Marx. My second was the Grateful Dead, though. I got to see Jerry.
Whoa.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
So Richard Marx, he was a one-hit wonder? Didn't he have like a mullet?
He was a multiple hit wonder.
Really? God,
But he did have a mullet.
He did have big hair and like tight leather pants. Now you're putting me on the spot. His power ballad was like from the Robin Hood soundtrack. That's Bryan Adams. Never mind. Skip all this. But no, he had several hits.
He did have several hits. I was forced to go see him and Paul Young together somehow with my mom. I'll never forget that. But Richard had, he was all over the radio for at least a good 8-year period or so.
And then he was actually like a really prominent songwriter even way after that. I couldn't tell you what songs, but I know that he was still in the game for a while. But
yeah, I can remember him from the MTV days and what he looked like. I just can't remember any of his tunes. And was he around the time of the Rick Roll, Rick Astley time? Was he in?
Yeah,
I think there must come some crossover there for sure. Yeah.
All right.
He was peaking like 92-ish for sure. And for whatever reason, I remember him and Satriani looked identical when Satch was on the cover of the Flying in a Blue Dream era, when he still had his hair. Satriani had a full length. He looked just like Richard Marx.
Awesome.
Oh, he was challenged follically. He certainly was.
Oh, Jesus. That's good. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for being on Fans with Bands. I really appreciate you being on here. I can't wait for the album to come out. I know you got some shows coming up. Anything like in late-ish that you got planned out, like late-ish November, early December so far, or no?
Oh, I don't know. It's tough to remember offhand, but I guess a good like easy way to come check us out if you're in the area is we did start a weekly bluegrass brunch series in Ferndale, which it's not necessarily us every time, but it does happen every Sunday, and we're there probably half of those times. So
Awesome.
if anyone follows us on social media and everything, and thank you for having us, and we appreciate everything you do, not only with the podcast but the the writing and the photography and just being a general supporter of music. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I just have one last question for you guys. And that is pineapple or no pineapple on pizza? Keith.
Pineapple.
Nice. Any
Yeah.
favorite topping combinations with pineapple?
Oh, I go with like the pineapple and jalapeno, and if I'm in the mood for some like meaty goodness, maybe like some bacon or ham.
Nice.
But yeah, pineapple, jalapeno, bacon, something like that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Aaron.
Well, I probably wouldn't choose to order a pizza with pineapple on it, but I'm sure not going to turn it down if it's there. You know?
What would be your go-to pizza if you're going to order one?
I'm like a straight up pepperoni mushroom guy.
Nice. Classic.
Just my fave. Maybe adding some. I don't know if I need to add anything to that. It's just pepperoni mushroom, just my jam.
Jason, how about you?
I absolutely. I have been turned on to the ways of adding the pineapple and like buffalo chicken or bacon, even jalapenos. I mean, typically I wouldn't, but I was kind of strong-armed into it and realized I loved it.
Awesome.
So
Not
good.
by me, I don't think.
No, Rochelle has her ways.
Excellent. Garrett, how about you?
I'm sorry, man. I can't ever do pineapple. I can't mix fruits with stuff. I'm funny about mixing fruit with anything. I don't even like pie. I'm weird. I love fruit, but I can't put it on anything.
I'm in the same boat. I like fruit, but pineapple should not be with anything else. Just pineapple. So, and Paul, I can't remember.
Oh yeah,
Real
definitely. Yeah, I like mixing fruit with pies. Generally good stuff for me.
Awesome. And a pile of what? What was your answer? She's typing, I think. Oh, yuck. Barb. No. All right. Cool. So we got a kind of split house here. Awesome.
Well, now we know what to order over at Aaron's if we don't want Ashley to eat all our pizza.
There you go.
Well, guys, thanks again for being on Fans with Bands. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chuck. Thanks for helping us spread the word, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
And I know Scott would thank you too. So
yes.
Thanks from Scott.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you.
All right, thanks, Chuck. See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one, man.
Many thanks to Aaron, Keith, Jason, Garrett, and Paul for joining me in this episode of Fans with Bands. It doesn't get any better than Wilson Thicket. These guys jam a hybrid version of bluegrass that speaks to my soul. They have a new 6-song EP coming out, which should hopefully be available by the end of the year, if not sooner. Be sure to watch their website and socials for the updates. And check out Keith's podcast called Picky Fingers Banjo Podcast, where he talks to banjo players from around the world. It is awesome. See the show notes for all the details and links. Bands are nothing without you, the fans. Purchasing music and merchandise is critical to their survival. If you can help out your favorite bands, please do. If you're in Michigan, consider following the Playing in Detroit Area Tonight and SE for Southeast Michigan Music Facebook pages. They are fantastic places for bands and bands to support each other and share our combined love of music. Thank you all so much for listening. Be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast service to get each and every episode of Fans with Bands. Spread the word by rating the show, telling your friends, telling your neighbors, telling your family, telling your priest, tell everyone, and leave a comment. We want to hear what you think. You can keep in touch by following us on social media. This is a Life in Michigan production. Until next time, be well and kick out the jam.